Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here are your hosts, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast presented by Gameday Tailgate Experience. Elevate your tailgate with GTE when the Steelers travel to Jacksonville, Florida, November 18th to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in what I feel will be, hopefully, a revenge game. But if you're on the road and you're looking for somewhere to party, 5-hour tailgate party pre-game. Get your tickets. Find out more information at steelcityunderground.com/Jaguars tailgate. I say slash because today, well, let me introduce myself. I got off track here. My name's Joe Kuzma, and I am the slash Cordell Stewart at wide receiver to the maybe my better half slash Cordell Stewart at quarterback. Maybe that's not the better half, but it's Mr. Brian E. Roach. What's up, slash?
I'm very excited that I got to be the quarterback.
I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but just a little pat on my back. I got Cordell to, he acknowledged us not too long ago on Twitter. We were talking about the NFL Blitz video game cover, and I think I had him as, what, was it one of the it was the decade team, but now I can't remember which decade it was. 90s? Yeah, 90s team.
Sure.
So, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of them. You know, I caught some fire because I didn't put Ben on the 2000s decade team, and it's because if you look at all of Ben's stats, it's been all 2010 and beyond with him, and he belongs with the Killer Bees. He's in the 2010s decade, but I digress. We got things and stuff to talk about. Ben is one of them, actually. People are all in a panic and blah, blah, blah. Hey, look, he left practice. It's training camp's convening here. They're ready to go to the second preseason game. They're all packing up from St. Vincent's. I wonder if the helicopter gets Antonio Brown on the way back out or if he just Ubers or what. But Ben Roethlisberger, I guess, whiplash, banged his head, blah, 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 blah. You hear the things all the time in training camp. I guess he's in a concussion protocol. I guess anybody gets hit in the head these days, they're in a concussion protocol, especially when you're like a $20 million or more quarterback. What do you think about it, Brian? I'm saying don't panic.
Well, absolutely don't panic. Even if it is a concussion, don't panic. He wasn't going to play on Thursday night anyway. In the next preseason game, and that's it. So I wouldn't have been overly concerned. It's unfortunate if in fact it is more than just a bump on the head. But. Yeah, it's nothing to panic about, at least not at this stage. It's they'll deal with it, they'll handle it, it'll move on.
Precisely, and the reason I'm bringing up Ben is because we have some quarterback stuff to talk about. We're going to gloss over the Packers preview because, let's face it, one, it's a preseason game. Two, it's almost the exact same thing we said last week, except for you're going to get Bud Dupree. A lot of people, were still asking about Bud Dupree. Where's Bud Dupree been? Concussion protocol, blah, blah. You haven't really, blah, 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 blah. You haven't heard a whole lot about Bud Dupree because he just had a kid. So he's been missing in action. He's going to be back. TJ Watt was jogging around. He's probably not going to play. Antonio Brown's not going to play. Cam Hayward's not going to play. Marquise Pouncey is not going to play. There's just a whole lot of people aren't going to play once again. But we also know somebody else isn't going to play. Landry Jones, because, and we kind of maybe alluded to this before, that I wasn't going to be surprised if he didn't play a preseason game at all, and that they just ended up running with the two young guys, Joshua Dobbs and Mason Rudolph, and let's see everything that they can do. And that's precisely what Mike Tomlin's going to do Thursday night against the Packers.
Yeah, it only makes sense. Landry Jones has had more preseason snaps than 90% of the quarterbacks in the league. They know what they have with Landry Jones. They know what to expect with Landry Jones. They're comfortable with an understanding of his skill set and what he brings to the table. So they don't need to see Landry Jones. Who they need to see is Josh Dobbs and Mason Rudolph. So that's it. It only makes sense that they're going to get the bulk of the snaps for the remainder of the preseason. I mean, the third game, the starters will finally dress for a little bit, probably. Maybe Landry gets a couple more snaps, but the fourth game's probably going to be just like this one. It's probably going to be all Dobbs and Rudolph.
Yeah, precisely. You're resting pretty much everyone. You're going to just see a little bit of a tune-up, not even a half when we get back and swing back around and get like about a 10-day break or something. Not really a break. They're still practicing and whatnot, but they're going to be back to their normal practice facilities and into a regular game routine. They do play on a Saturday afternoon, so it's not quite all the way game situation, but probably a little more closer to the regular season than what the rest of the preseason provides. And we're going to see a few of the stars come out, and it'll be at home too, so that's kind of cool. They got oddly 2 away and then 2 at home, and it's an interesting thing. It is interesting with the preseason game, especially the one in Philadelphia. Maybe not so much because it is. We're going to see what it's like in Green Bay. There was a lot of Steelers fans, like the Juju thing. Everybody was cheering. You saw some people in the crowd with a terrible towel. I don't know if you caught some of the other preseason games, just to go off topic here for 1 second, but Denver Broncos, Minnesota Vikings. That place was loud, man. Those people were into the preseason game. I don't know that I've ever heard it. There's only one preseason game I've ever been to that has ever had, what would you say, that type of excitement. It was, I don't know if you remember Hojo, Howard Jones. He picking up the fumble and taking it to the house or whatever,
I remember that game.
And closing it out, because everybody thought, oh dear Lord, we're going to have a preseason game go to overtime. And I'll never forget, I made a joke about this on the last episode me and you did. And I said, I might leave the game early. And actually, that happens with preseason. I'm telling you, folks, I hit the fast forward or the 15-second skip button or whatever with the DVR. Some of this is, even for us, the Steelers faithful, it can be a little difficult to watch because, there's a flag or it materializes into a 1-yard run or a 1-yard loss on a run or an incomplete pass. And when you're talking about Bart Houston being in there and things of that nature. So, but you know what? I will pay attention a little more because I want to see what Mason's got. I want to see what Dobbs is doing. And then, of course, the third game should be at least good through 3 quarters because, you're going to have some of the starters. But Aaron Rodgers saying he wants to play, that doesn't mean that Mike McCarthy's going to put him out there. I wouldn't. He's hurt his collarbone how many times, so it's going to be what? You're going to see maybe Brett Hundley. You're going to see Deshaun Kaiser. Well, you know what those guys were like. You saw both of them last year. It's not going to be too exciting. So,
if Aaron Rodgers plays a series or 2, that will spark a little interest. It'll be interesting to see how the Steelers defenders are able to deal with that, because obviously you're talking about it, maybe the best quarterback in the league as a pure passer and a guy who can pass on the move. It'll be interesting to see if in fact he plays. I'm more along the lines with you. Yes, he wants to play. And I can understand it because, he missed so much of last season. He hasn't played in a long time. He probably doesn't want to just coast through the preseason. He wants to get in there and get the feeling back. But, yeah, if I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm not playing him. Are you crazy? Bud Dupree's back.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's going to be kind of interesting, too, because it's looking like Ola and Keon Adams, who are the only guys really left. Well, I guess there's Chicolo, too, but, I think Chick's backing up Bud, and they're working in Keon and Ola on the other side with the first-team reps, and a lot of that now is going to go to a closed-door practice where at least the people that Antonio Brown feels are clowns for saying that he's hurt are the only ones that are going to be able to inform us of anything anymore. We're not going to see some of this closed door stuff, so we're going to be left to guess, at least with the other 2 preseason games, where with the first 2, even Thursdays, you kind of have a good idea of who's going to get the lion's share of the repetitions in those games. Now, I said Brett Hundley, I said Deshaun Kaiser. I've mentioned that Landry Jones is going to be sitting. We're going to see what Josh Dobbs and Mason Rudolph is going to do. You know what those guys all are? They're all backup quarterbacks, and that's actually the topic for today because it's gotten under my skin so much. Me and Brian love to talk about how bad quarterbacks are in general across the NFL, but we really wanted to take a look at everyone's depth chart and ask a dangerous question here that I'll ask in 1 second, because I still wanted to mention Gameday Tailgate Experience and the big tailgate party on November 18th. Of course, folks, I'm not going to make you wait to the end of the episode like Terry did. If you want to get 20% off your game day tailgate experience, tailgate party ticket, that 5 hours of open bar and all-you-can-eat food, you're going to use the promo code Steel City, all one word, when you check out. If you're looking for the links on where to go, where to find more information about this party, go to steelcityunderground.com/ That's part of today's deal, man. / Cordell Stewart, quarterback, right? SteelCityUnderground.com / Jaguars tailgate for all the deets. I think that's what the kids say, the deets. So there's all kind of stuff. There's giveaways and everything else that they're doing too. We still have the giveaway with the helmet worthy. Got a few more submissions. Keep them rolling in. Also, you could go to the website. It's right on the homepage, too. Actually, I believe both things are, as well as the preseason guide. We've got so many things going on and more to come. So the question go ahead, interject.
I was going to say, you know what all of these things are, the tailgate party, helmet worthy, the preseason guide? To quote, Zach Adonia, these are lit.
Lit.
It's all lit. All of these things are lit.
Us old farts, we ain't got a clue what you're talking about.
I don't even know what I just said.
It's happening. It's happening. It's the flame emoji. I love the flame emoji. It's one of my favorite. The thinking one is the one I usually throw at people, and it's because of the question of, would you rather have Landry Jones or, and we're going to go down the list. I've got a list, folks. So trying to get Tailgate Party off my mind and open file. Yes, please do that. It's like this thing fell asleep on me. It's like, no, not at this time. I could name I don't know these all by heart. I know a couple of them. I know the Eagles situation at least. That's the one we're going to throw out the window. Carson Wentz isn't quite ready yet. Nick Foles is kind of pseudo-starter, Super Bowl MVP. If you have a Super Bowl MVP as your backup quarterback, I'm going to say you're in a better position no matter what, at least on paper right now. So I don't know how you feel about that. I thought Sudfeld was pretty good as a 3. I mean, I might take a chance on him. He seemed to be okay. They also went out and got Christian Hackenberg and this Callahan or whoever played the second or half or part of the third and fourth quarter. He just wasn't up to snuff in my opinion. So, I mean, the Eagles got a better quarterback situation, I think. Right, Bri?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't really argue with a guy who once threw 7 touchdowns in a game and is sitting on your bench as your backup quarterback. It obviously worked out for them, but what people forget is the first couple games last year, Nick Foles wasn't very good. They had to figure out how to use him again. But I'm going to attribute that more to the coach than I am going to him. But he's a capable, quality starter who could have been probably an average NFL quarterback as a starter. But it's a good situation for them to be in.
Yeah, Terry keeps needling me on that one, and maybe you as well, because I didn't see it with Foles. I'm just like, oh, dear Lord, just serve it up on the silver platter for New England once again, you know what I mean, when they played in the Super Bowl. It's because, you know what, he wasn't very good when he went to the Rams. He was good with the Eagles. He left, went to the Rams. That was the trade, the Bradford trade. And it's just like, okay. And I mean, adequate, I should say, first time with the Eagles. With the Rams, it just wasn't happening, but it was the Rams. Okay. He goes to Kansas City. I think he only got one start there. And it's like when you're sitting there collecting dust, nobody usually comes in and is very good. He wasn't incredibly sharp coming off the bench immediately for the Eagles, even when Wentz went down. And then he had a Cinderella run of postseason games, capping off with his trip to Disney World. He may have gotten a car or something too. They give these guys all kind of cool stuff. I don't think people realize they don't make the same salary they do in the regular season as they do in the playoffs. Right. It's $32,000. I think maybe for a loser, or $48,000 for a winner. There's a whole pay scale, and it depends on which tier of the playoffs you're in, wild card, blah blah blah, stuff like that. So I'm going to go down this list. It's not all encompassing of 32 teams because there's a few of these right off the top. The Buffalo Bills. I don't even know how you can answer this question because they don't know who their starter is. So this doesn't even really count. because they don't even have a quarterback, let alone a backup quarterback. So you're not going to go and say, oh, they have a better backup quarterback when their starter likely stinks. But it's A.J. McCarron and Nate Peterman, and the guy who threw 5 interceptions in one game. He didn't look too bad. I caught a little bit of preseason ball here. The guy who looked bad right out the gate was Josh Allen, who's the rookie they took in the first round this year. As far as the quarterback situation, do we even need to say any more? The Steelers have a better quarterback situation with the 4 guys they have versus the 3 they have there as it stands right now.
Yeah, I think it's a given. I don't think you can argue it. I don't know that there's a quarterback there on the Bills team right now that's as good as Landry Jones.
So a lot of people would argue A.J. McCarron, but I just don't see it.
Neither do I. And you have no, what do you got? A couple games and a playoff game he lost. So, there's not a lot of body of work there.
No, there isn't. You go down to the Miami Dolphins next. They're getting Ryan Tannehill back, who has not really lived up to the hype. He's been good and bad, as have the Dolphins. So he's backed up by Brock Osweiler, a guy who the Browns cut last year. He was their guy during preseason for a little bit, couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, went back to Denver. Denver didn't want him the second time through. It wasn't a Nick Foles Cinderella story. So Brock O out. I will take Landry Jones every day of the week, twice on Sunday, over Brock Osweiler.
Without even thinking, look, Brock Osweiler wasn't even in the equation when the Browns traded for him. They really just wanted the pick.
And they went with Deshaun Kaiser. And we're going to talk about Kaiser too. The other 2 guys that are in camp with them, if this is still accurate, by the way. So there's been some moves roster-wise with a few of these teams. So I think I doctored this up about a week ago and we had to bump it. So hopefully it's still all relevant information. I'd say 98% of it is. David Fales and Bryce Petty. Okay, moving on. Because Bryce Petty, okay, if you had to choose between Brock Osweiler and Bryce Petty, I might take Brock Osweiler twice every day of the week and 4 times on Sunday. So
I'd take Richard Petty over Bryce Petty.
You take Bryce Petty over Bryce Petty? What?
Richard Petty.
Richard Petty.
Over Bryce Petty.
I was losing you there for a second, man. I didn't hear it, and I was like, oh, Richard Petty. Well, Richard Petty's the GOAT, man. If anybody doesn't know, we're talking stock cars now, and that's about where my knowledge ends with some of that. Patriots, okay. Tom Brady is backed up by Brian Hoyer. This is one where I was like, okay, maybe, because Hoyer, when you're talking about Landry Jones, and I've made the comparison to Charlie Batch, you're talking about basically the equivalent of somebody who might be a journeyman quarterback with starting experience, plays about 500 ball, can win you games, can keep you in games, doesn't mean he's going to be lights out like Brady or Roethlisberger or Aaron Rodgers or any of these other top flight quarterbacks. So Hoyer, I almost have a push on for that, but considering his play as of late, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be thrilled if Tom Brady got hurt and I was a Patriots fan. Now, as a Steelers fan, I'd be super thrilled. Throw Brian Hoyer out there. You never know what Mr. Magoo over there is going to do, and with his, voodoo magic with the Patriots. Maybe he turns Brian Hoyer into an all-pro, but I don't know. I'm more comfortable with Landry just based on he's been there. I wouldn't necessarily swap out if Brian Hoyer was available tomorrow.
His name is Brian.
Oh, so you're going with them.
I have no choice.
Oh, well,
his name is Brian.
But our guy's name's Landry Jones.
Yeah, it sounds like laundry.
I absolutely hate reading that. That's one of the most ignorant things I think I've ever seen. It just bugs. It bugs the crap out of me. Somebody like, can you imagine, you're actually an NFL player and you've got somebody calling you Landry Jones. If you've never heard that, people are probably giggling, and it's just like, that's stupid. I'm sorry. It's what would you call Benji Roethlisberger or something? Like
here's like, look, dude, my last name is Roach. I have no sympathy.
Okay, moving on. Moving on to an interesting one. This is a battle. Josh McCown, Teddy Bridgewater, and Sam Darnold. And no telling who's – you got to imagine that McCown is not going to be the starter. Bridgewater looked sharp. Darnold looked sharp. I mean, Darnell's the future there. Bridgewater's on a 1-year deal, fighting back from like the crazy injury. It's pretty much kept him out of football for 2 years, but he still looked pretty good. I think they have a way better situation than they used to have. That's not one that we want to compare, because you're going to take Ben all of the time, and then whoever shakes out after that, there isn't much of a future there. Anyways, I take Landry over McCown personally, because McCown has played for 34 NFL teams, because then of course the Rams moved, and et cetera, et cetera. He's played for like everybody.
I'm with you. I might take Teddy over Landry, but I would definitely take Landry over McCown.
I'm comfortable with that one. The Baltimore Ravens, I'll take Landry over Joe Flacco. And I'm sorry, he's not the backup yet. Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco has Lamar Jackson. We don't know what Lamar Jackson's doing yet. He's also playing with some camp bodies, and he's been hit or miss. So he's got a young career. RG3 looked good. He's a veteran QB. I like RG3 as a backup to Ben, but a bit different of a player. He's not like a stand-in-the-pocket type guy like Landry. Now, he's got a little bit of wiggle, but I don't know that he's got the arm, the downfield arm. Maybe not. I don't know that he's the passer. What do you want to say? Well, he plays behind Flacco. I can't use the word elite. But I think you know what I'm getting at. As far as the way the Steelers' offense is run, RG3 would probably be okay. I know people are going to think I'm crazy to say, yeah, I'll keep Landry, but the best ability is availability. And one reason that RG3 was out of football last year is because he was always hurt.
Look, you got to think of the way that the Steelers' offense runs. I'd take Landry over anybody on the Ravens squad right now, and quite simply because he fits their offense.
Good. Very good. We've got the AFC North is all like in the beginning of the alphabetical chart here by city. So the Cincinnati Bengals, Andy Dalton, working on being a Pro Bowler in the preseason, as we saw. He's backed up with Matt Barkley, Jeff Driscoll, and a 7th-round pick, Logan Woodside. Next is the
exactly. I was going to say, move along. There's nothing to see here.
Yeah, seriously. Once again, the question is, would you rather have Landry Jones or, and in this case, Matt Barkley or Jeff Driscoll? Josh Dobbs and Mason Rudolph over all those guys. Easy. Tyrod Taylor, we've been all corrected by Aditi Kikawala this week, is penciled in as the starter for the Browns, but of course that's a battle with Baker Mayfield. Tyrod, not necessarily proficient was the word I was looking for earlier with RG3. That's what it kind of reminds me of there. He is mobile. He can get you some stuff on the ground. We saw how this kind of worked with Michael Vick. I'd like to think Tyrod's maybe a little more accurate, at least in the short yardage stuff. He doesn't turn the ball over, at least. So as a backup, I think he would be more than serviceable. I don't know. Baker Mayfield, we got a preseason game that we saw from him. Not a whole lot you could say. Drew Stanton, forget about it.
Yeah, no, this is my take on the Browns quarterback situation. Tyrod Taylor is the backup in waiting. Because he's going to start, but he's the backup in waiting. Once they decide that they're going to go with Baker Mayfield, that's it for Tyrod. Look, we'll find out. Some point this year, that switch is probably going to take place unless Baker Mayfield really is a chump. So
with the WTF stuff with Terry, she released that about a day or two early as Bud Light announced that they put these beer coolers or freezers in select locations around the city of Cleveland. They have locks on them that could be remotely disabled and will be once the Browns win a game. I was just wondering what the expiration date or the goodbye freshness date on the beer cans were.
They're not going to have to wait that long. They're going to win a game in the first quarter of the season.
Oh, bold.
They'll beat the Jets.
It's not going to be enough. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'm just, you're talking about guys lying in wait and just waiting for Todd Haley to be the interim head coach there. So I think he's already sitting there he's already been undermining Hugh a few times on Hard Knocks. So We'll see. The Steelers, I don't know. I had the Steelers up here on the list. We don't need to go through them. We know we'll take Landry over Landry. The Texans are interesting. Deshaun Watson's going to be back. It was a dumpster fire otherwise. They have Brandon Whedon still there.
Really? Wait a minute. Wasn't he 45 when he entered the league?
Yes, he is now. He is now at the ripe age of 62. He's just waiting to get his paperwork in to collect Social Security.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
once he does that, maybe he'll still be in the NFL. I don't know. Joe Webb, who plays special teams and stuff like that too. The Texans. Okay, enough with that one too. Once again, who would you rather have, Brandon Whedon or Landry Jones? Let's be serious here, folks. The Colts, actually, not the worst situation here. Andrew Luck coming back, maybe healthy. Jacoby Brissett had a pretty, you got to look at the talent that was around him. I thought he did a more than adequate, fair job given the circumstance he was thrown into on short notice when he was traded there as well from the Patriots. So I think Brissett is actually – he's one of those guys, like your quote with Foles was, if this guy were to start, serviceable guy. I like that word, serviceable, because we're really talking about somebody who could play at least 500 ball here. I think Brissett could do that. Do I want him over Landry? I don't know. He doesn't, to me, I don't know if you feel the same way, but Brissett to me isn't like what I said about like a Lamar Jackson and RG3 or any of these guys that, kind of run around the pocket or whatever as soon as something breaks down, Tyrod Taylor or something like that. I think he could actually, Brissett, stand his ground and pass, and that probably comes from that, quote, Patriot way and the way he was trained. Yeah,
I wouldn't be upset if that was the switch that took place and we got Jacoby Brissett and Landry was on the Colts. But, again, one of the things that even if all is equal, if everything is equal, and you say, okay, Jacoby Brissett is going to be a marginally better quarterback than Landry Jones is ever going to be, that's fine. But it's the scenario that, and we haven't talked about this yet, and maybe we would at the end, but the scenario still remains. Landry Jones has all five seasons in this offense.
This is his sixth. So
he knows the offense as well as Ben does. Nobody else is going to come in and be able to say that. Nobody else is going to make Ben as comfortable as Landry does. Nobody else is going to be the second set of eyes understanding how the offense unfolds. Look, even if Jacoby Brissett is a better quarterback, he's not a better quarterback for the Steelers right now. Maybe if they had gotten him earlier, maybe. But
well, I think that's the crux of this whole conversation, just to rewind, is the assumption that the Steelers carry only 3 quarterbacks and everybody thinks they're just going to dump Landry Jones out on his keister here's your box of stuff from your office, boom, out the door and slam shut. They're failing to notice a few things. One, the Steelers could do something as Mike Palaia backed me up on this with an article the other day on the site. He called it unconventional. It did happen before. Who was it? It was Neil O'Donnell, Jim Miller, Cordell Stewart. There was a reason I brought Cordell Stewart up. And Tom Zach. They had 4 guys at one time. Now, Cordell, of course, was doing the slash thing as a wide receiver, and that lasted 1 year. We could see that again. The other thing you alluded to was, and Big Ben said this following practice a day or two ago during camp when he was available to the media, and somebody asked him about Landry Jones, and I don't have the exact quote. It went up on our Instagram if you want to look for it. But he basically mentioned, and this was mentioned also by Tunch and Wolf too, so I kind of steal from them. Ben is comfortable with Landry Jones as his backup. It's not a threatened thing. Landry's the guy that has the earpiece. He's the guy who's getting the printouts or the Microsoft Surface tablet on the sideline and seeing these things and understands them. And even if maybe if his talent doesn't translate as much on the field as somebody like Ben Roethlisberger, he has Ben's trust that he's intelligent enough to go and see, well, you could have done this instead of this, or what did you see out there? And that's what Ben was talking about too. And you got to think maybe the coaching staff has an inkling of that as well. I got to think that's one of the reasons Charlie Batch was around for so long, even as the third quarterback, because they were bringing in guys like, Byron Leftwich and I don't know, was Greg Kowski there before Batch was let go too? So
I think he was there right around the same time.
So this whole conversation about would you rather have somebody else other than Landry is to just point out that Landry's really not that bad when you start to look around the rest of the league here. We're not even halfway through. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars with Blake Bortles and Cody Kessler. They traded for Cody Kessler to be Bortles' backup. That's kind of a joke. They got another AFC South team here too. The Tennessee Titans, Marcus Mariota. Okay, he's been okay as an NFL starter so far. But they have Blaine Gabbert behind him. Blaine Gabbert and Cody Kessler, get out of here, man.
Yeah, I agree. And look, because there are people out there who are still laughing at the fact that we said Landry was intelligent, I just want to point out the fact that Landry presents as a giant goober doesn't mean he is a giant goober.
It's the hipsters. Nothing against you hipsters if you're listening. We love you too, but they probably laugh at that as well. The Broncos. Okay, Case Keenum looking not too bad. Maybe better than what they had last year with Trevor Siemian, but the guy they drafted, the guy everybody in Pittsburgh wanted. Why did you take Artie Burns? You could have got Paxton Lynch, and John Elway looks like a fool right now for moving up and making that move. This guy can't complete a pass in the preseason, that game I was watching.
And he's not even slated to be the backup anymore. He's in third.
Just lost it to Mr. Irrelevant from last year, Chad Kelly, a descendant, I believe Jim Kelly from the Buffalo Bills fame, Hall of Famer, how many times he beat cancer? Man, that guy's he's something else.
He's a battler, man.
Yeah. That's his uncle, I believe. And I watched Chad Kelly in that same game too, and I'm like, this is night and day. I mean, Mason Rudolph was doing stuff you don't normally see when you put a fourth quarterback on the field, too. But he looked kind of rookie-ish. Chad Kelly looks like it just runs in the family. So Paxton Lynch already lost a 2 spot to Kelly. But I'm still not going to hang my hat on Mr. Irrelevant over Landry Jones.
No. I'm going to fall back to the trust issue and the fact that, Landry's won games in the NFL. How many has Chad Kelly won?
Nothing yet. Hasn't even thrown a pass. Neither has Patrick Mahomes, slated to be the starter in Kansas City. He's backed up by Chad Henne, who has a plethora of playing experience. I like Chad Henne. I think he would be a suitable, all right, kind of like a Bruce Gradkowski type guy that's been around. Matt McGlowan, who's also on the roster, not so much.
If I'm not mistaken, you now need to turn in your Buckeye badge.
Oh, I know. Okay, you know what?
You just committed sacrilege.
Yeah. I also mentioned Tom Brady's name too. Trust me, I throw up in my mouth all the time when I do. Double. You
like that horrible Chad Henne kid.
He wasn't much of a starting quarterback, but in spells and spurts, okay, he'll get it done. I don't know so much about the next guy. Behind Phillip Rivers is Geno Smith. It's probably maybe the best backup they've had behind him for a while, but you never know it because Phillip Rivers never misses a snap. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but Geno, I think, kind of got a little bit of a raw deal with terrible Jets teams and coaching changes and whatnot. He wasn't quite as bad maybe as Michael Vick. You may see the same thing. I'm just going basically on what I think could be potential, but I would still take Landry because I still think Geno is still another one of these guys that, they want to move out of the pocket and get a little crazy. And I'm not into that,
I'm with you. He didn't look good last year, with the Giants.
The Giants, yeah.
He looked probably worse than he had looked when he was with the Jets. Hey, I got to give a shout out to a buddy of mine from high school, Don, who will be thrilled to know that Cardale Jones is still on a team. That'd be the Chargers. There's not a guy on this team I'd take over Landry either, as a backup, discounting Phillip Rivers.
Yeah. That same quarterback class with Roethlisberger. So he's getting up in age, and guess what? They haven't pulled the trigger on getting the heir apparent yet, unless they feel Cardale would be, and, Cardale is the third string because they obviously feel he's not good enough to be the backup. Whatever
his name is, that's the guy. That's the heir apparent, isn't it?
Who's that?
Nick Shimonik.
I don't know how to pronounce his name. Yeah, college free agent from this year. I'm not even sure where he came from. I mean, there's a few names like that, like the Cowboys have Dalton Sturm, and I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. The Raiders, when Derek Carr went down, we found out that Connor Cook was not as advertised, and E.J. Manuel has never been as advertised. You talk about first-round picks and quarterbacks and not being surefire. Yeah, that never worked out well for Buffalo. Knock another one out here, too, because the Cowboys are playing with fire, in my opinion. Cooper Rush is the backup to Dak Prescott. They also drafted Mike White in the 5th round. Mike White he might end up okay. I don't really know. I saw a little bit. I wasn't really impressed with either one of those guys. And, well, you know what? It's like the whole – let's just do it. We've got the whole NFC East here. Eli Manning has Davis Webb behind him. Carson, well, we talked about the Eagles. We don't have to replay that one. Alex Smith, and he has Colt McCoy, another Browns guy that has somehow made a career out of being a backup. And Colt McCoy has been, once again, serviceable, but not my cup of tea there. Sorry, I take Landry again most days of the week there.
I thought he was dead. Didn't James Harrison kill him?
Well, no. See, that's actually what sprung about the realization that he didn't want to get hit anymore, and he became a backup. In fact, he just signed a new deal. He just signed a new deal, so he's still there, like, for quite some time. Yeah, I mean, they have, let me see, the Bears, Mitch Trubisky, we saw how bad Chase Daniel was. There's another guy. Everybody's like, go sign him, and the Eagles paid him, like, a lot of money to stink the joint up, and he's been bouncing around. Tyler Bray's there as well. That's not the greatest situation in the world. The Lions have... well, they have Matt Castle there behind Matt Stafford, but Matt Castle's another guy that's been all over the world that I am not a big fan of. Jake Rudick. I can never pronounce this guy's name. There's a guy that everybody's interested in trying to pluck from this team. You want to talk about how desperate some teams are for quarterbacks? His name's been up on the trade blocks, and the Lions have not been willing to part with him since drafting him in 2016. For whatever reason, they see something the rest of us don't see that other NFL teams apparently have seen. And that's kind of been like the crux of maybe Josh Dobbs trade rumors. But myself, I think the Steelers find a way to retain Josh Dobbs at least for 1 year, stash him somewhere, because practice squad, he may get plucked too. So
IR.
Yeah, I know. We've been called crazy.
Contusion of the toe in the 4th game, he'll go on IR.
Yeah, it will have cut his ear taking his helmet off.
Yes. Yep.
It was the communication system got loose in there. They played a game in New England, and they were trying to figure out how to fix it, and then they cut the guy. It was a crazy accident. We talked about the Packers, Deshaun Kaiser, Brett Hundley. I don't need to make more fart noises on that one. Trevor Siemian backing up Kirk Cousins. That's kind of interesting. Kyle Sloter is there too.
Yeah.
It's not quite the 3 quarterbacks that they had last year when they still had Bradford. I already forgot his name.
Bridgewater.
Bridgewater, yeah. But the
then the guy who's
Case
starting
Case
Keenum, yeah.
Yeah. I almost said Kellen Clemens. No, that was the guy that Bernie Kosar chewed out in a preseason game and lost his color analyst job. He said how bad he was. Go Google that one, folks, if you hadn't heard that one. Let me see. Matt Ryan has Matt Schaub and Garrett Grayson. Whoo! There's a team that goes from contender to pretender overnight if Matt Ryan goes down. Although I'm going to say the Panthers probably have it even worse, because if you could tell me who their backup is besides Cam Newton, nope, Derek Anderson not there. Garrett Gilbert, Taylor Heinicke, and Kyle Allen. I don't know who any of these people are. We're going to have to ask Chase about this.
Isn't Garrett Grayson, isn't that like Robin's uncle?
Garrett Gilbert.
No. Garrett Grayson from the guy on the Vikings.
Oh,
or Falcons. Isn't that Dick Grayson's uncle? Robin.
Oh,
Batman's sidekick.
We're reaching.
Yeah, Garrett Gilbert. That guy's name's backwards. Shouldn't it be Gilbert Garrett?
I don't know. I just call him Double G. Makes it easier.
Yeah,
it's kind of like saying
Double
hola.
G.
It's like saying hola. Hola.
It's going to improve. The next team improves us simply because we know who Tom Savage is.
Yes. Drew Brees is Tom Savage. Tom Savage had some potential. I think the Texans ruined him, so to speak. And but they brought J.T. Barrett in from Ohio State. I don't, know, J.T. Barrett's gone. Sorry.
He's not going to make that squad.
No, I'm surprised I'm surprised he was getting some workouts and stuff like that. I think they wanted to see if he could do like Tyler Murphy and some of these guys, Cordell Stewart, trying to, Braxton Miller. Hey, there's one conversion to wide receiver type deal. Jameis Winston, we're going to find this out. Ryan Fitzpatrick, here's a guy, what is it, Harvard education or whatever, and, he's had tons of experience, some of it good, some of it terrible, or I should say some of it bad and some of it terrible. But
you either get the bearded Ryan Fitzpatrick or the non-bearded Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't know.
I'll take the bearded one.
He's the Jekyll and Hyde. He's either beating teams he has no right to beat, or he's throwing 97 interceptions.
Yeah, which that's why he didn't get the deal he wanted with the Jets, and he's going to get to play a couple games. Jameis Winston out. Unfortunately, you say
probably going to play against us.
Yeah, in the games he shouldn't win. Watch, throws 5 touchdowns or something ridiculous. So, you could do worse than Ryan Fitzpatrick for sure. Out of all the names that we've said, he's probably definitely in the top 10, maybe inching towards that top 5 of these backups here. Keep in mind, too, when I say that, I'm talking about maybe 28 teams, because there's no way you're putting the Bills and the Browns and the Jets, all the guys that drafted quarterbacks, with the exception of the Ravens, you're not putting them in this same category, which would be where the Cardinals fall with Sam Bradford, Josh Rosen, Mike Glennon. And we already know Glennon is kind of miserable. Bradford is good when he's on the field for 1 or 2 games for the year. So this could be Rosen's show right out the gate. If they're with Glennon, I think they're in trouble. Give me Landry Jones all of the time over Mike Glennon.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% of the time.
101 sometimes. Jared Goff has Sean Mannion, who wasn't there some GM that was anonymously saying you should trade for Sean Mannion and make him a starter in the league?
If anybody said that, they were smoking something.
Sell high.
Yeah.
Take
the deal immediately. If somebody's willing to give you a 3rd round pick, or hell, if they're willing to give you a package of Cottonelle butt wipes.
John Gruden. Oh man, thank you once. This is the moment in the show where I don't mention a sponsor and I just mention John Gruden. Everybody knows why. Thank you, Chucky.
Yes.
Chucky. 3rd round pick. Thank you for giving us the gift of Mason Rudolph. So, 2 more teams left. Jimmy Garoppolo has C.J. Beathard, Nick Mullins, Jack Hennigan. Kyle Shanahan, are you a quarterback whisperer or what? Because you might get it done with Jimmy G, who, let's take a pause here. If you're listening, we heard you say about all the women saying Jimmy G, he's pretty. Ladies, you got to agree, there are men out there that are comfortable enough in their manliness to say that this guy is a poster boy. I won't get on board with some other people, but stick to the Steelers, man. We got some of our own gorgeous people. Look at the Antonio Brown smile, okay? So, but she went on this rant about Jimmy G being, he's so, sexy and this and that. And I'm in Southern California, but he's in Northern California. And I would walk from where I live to go, just smell his essence or whatever it was. She's going to kill me.
Smell his essence.
That wasn't a direct quote. That wasn't a direct quote.
Okay, good, because that is not – no one should say that about a man, period.
But anyway, yes, and we're not putting Landry Jones in the pretty boy category like that.
I definitely don't want to smell his essence.
But at the same time, C.J. Beathard, sorry, pal. Wasn't it his uncle as well, the Bobby Beathard that was just elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? So, maybe a family thing there, but I don't know. He was a surprise 3rd round pick last year.
He stinks.
Yeah. Compared to most. I mean, it's just, I'm looking into it a little more than just because he got a starter too, and it wasn't necessarily terrible. But I mean, the 49ers were a dumpster fire for most of the season. Russell Wilson closes this out as the starter for the Seahawks. Austin Davis is his backup, who has bounced around just about everywhere. So there are some teams, obviously. I saw Alex Tanney's name somewhere on here, too. He's another guy that's been all over the place. Kevin Hogan's on here. Tyler Bray, Matt Castle, Kyle Sloter, Kaiser's on a new team. Mike Glennon bouncing around everywhere. Mike Glennon was supposed to be promising. Chase Daniel. You look at these names. Drew Stanton. There's not, and these are some of the guys that are falling into the third string, but these are the guys that were the backups. Teams are always looking to upgrade at their position. I think the Steelers can stand pat with Landry Jones. They think they have the future of Mason Rudolph. I think they could even ride out another year and see what Dobbs may have in store for them before making a long-term decision, because I wouldn't even be surprised if Jones came back and then Jones was the 3. I don't think he's going to object to collecting an NFL paycheck necessarily unless he really wants an opportunity. He didn't even seek it, really. Not that I think there was a whole lot of demand for him, but I definitely think there's demand if Josh Dobbs ends up on a practice squad or on a waiver wire, that he could bump some of these guys off of here. So when you're talking about, are you going to cut Jones? Well, I don't think you're going to risk having 2 guys who've never taken an NFL snap, let alone thrown a pass in a regular season game, backing out Big Ben. The numbers justify it. The Steelers, going back to even Bill Cowher, when Ben was a rookie, he was the 3. He was behind, let me see. Drawing a blank here, Tommy Maddox and Charlie Batch. And it was injuries to both of those guys that brought Ben on the field, and of course they never looked back. The plan was for him to be the future anyway. So, but do you really feel comfortable with just throwing Mason out to the Wolves if Ben got hurt, or going with Josh Dobbs over what you've already seen with Landry Jones? I am not. So don't be so quick to judge here, because based on all of these things that we said, we may have shed some light on why you would rather have Landry Jones than Matt Barkley, Brandon Weeden, Colt McCoy, Cody Kessler, or a whole slew of other guys that tried to be Browns quarterbacks.
Yeah, the one situation that I will say, and we said it at the beginning, the one situation I'll grant you is probably better off than the Steelers' quarterback situation is the Eagles. But, beyond that, you just can't beat the consistency, the fact that he's been here for 5 seasons, the fact that he knows the offense, the fact that his starting quarterback trusts him to help him see the field and help him break down plays, as in between, series. You can't. The nation needs to give Landry a little love.
A little bit of love. And I will leave you with one last thought here. There was a gentleman that came from a big college program that the Steelers gave an opportunity to at the beginning of the decade, and it just didn't work out for him with some injuries, but he had the opportunity to be the number 2 at one point, and that was Dennis Dixon. And I do think that I think from what little I've seen of Josh Dobbs, I remember I had some high hopes for Dennis Dixon. I think Dobbs is a better quarterback already than maybe Dixon was, or at least has maybe a higher ceiling in that aspect. So I don't want to throw it in that same type of category, but, it's like he too, Dennis Dixon, that was another guy that Charlie Batch had to contend with at one point. And Charlie had some injuries and stuff of his own. But go take a look at the statistics. Landry Jones and Charlie Batch, birds of a feather. They're both the left and the right wing of the bird that is Ben Roethlisberger through his career. And I think that's the way it's going to remain, at least for this season, if not into the future.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Look, if you want to look at this the other way, then your quarterback duo of now is Ben and Landry. That's what it's going to be. Potentially your quarterback duo of the future could be Mason and Josh. I don't think they drafted Josh Dobbs as a successor to, we talked about this before too, as a successor to Ben, but maybe as a successor to Landry.
Yeah, definitely. And you're talking about a guy you could trust, a guy who's smart, rocket scientist. Hello.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of value of having somebody there like that. So it'd be interesting. And like I said, I think it'd be tough. You don't want to think that you wasted a draft pick. I think that's in the back of your head. You also have the guy for this season and then 2 following 4-year rookie contract, basically all but the 1 year the Mason's there. So it's a great problem to have, actually, because they are quarterback rich and most teams are very quarterback poor. Even the ones that have, for the most part, a decent backup quarterback, they don't have the guy as an answer for a starter yet. So I just like to make people think and question some of these things, because there is definitely some really, really bad hot takes out there. So, Brian, thanks for joining me again. We are up against it, long-winded as usual.
It's been a pleasure as always, and I will say no more.
Neither will I. So, folks, go ahead. I know you got comments. Leave them for us everywhere. Once again, thanks for subscribing. Those of you, especially on YouTube, up over 800 subscribers. Awesome. We need to get to 1,000, so keep telling everybody. Subscribe, even with those secret accounts that you don't have. Till next time.
Helmet worthy.
Yeah, we'll get those too. Keep on the lookout for that. Till next time, my name is Joe. His name is Brian. Be safe, be good. We'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.